Today we're going to talk about simplifying algebraic expressions. Before we do that, we have to talk about identifying terms and what a term is. So we have two vocabulary words we need to cover. The first one is the vocabulary word term. So we're going to talk about a term in algebra. And in algebra, a term is a single number or variable or numbers and variables multiplied together, or the product sometimes they'll say. What you want to remember is that they're separated by addition and subtraction signs. So if we have examples of terms, you might have x is a term, or 2xy is a term. Maybe you have 7 as a term. Anything that does not have a plus or a minus. Now, if I take several terms and I place them together, I get what's called an expression. For example, if I have 4x minus 7 plus 5y. It's not an equation because it doesn't have an equal sign. But if I look, this actually has 3 different terms. Can you identify them? What we say is that we circle the terms. So there's 3 of them, so 4x is one of them. And then minus 7 is another, and plus 5y. So in identifying terms, what you want to remember is the plus or minus, the addition or subtraction, or the sign goes with the number. And we'll talk about that next. So that's very important. So a term is anything separated by a plus or a minus sign, and you want to remember that that sign, whatever it is, plus or minus, goes with the number when circling. So let's look at some examples here. So I have h plus 3. So my plus sign is kind of like your stop sign, but it goes with the number. So I have h, that's my first term, and then positive 3 is my second term. We're going to practice circling these terms because when we start combining them, we want to circle them first. So if I look at 2x plus 3, the terms, I have 2 of them. I have 2x and positive 3. And if I look at a divided by 2 minus 7, the whole thing up until the minus sign is a term. So a divided by 2, or a over 2, is a term, and minus 7 is a term. So if you can think of these, if you can think of them, the subtraction and addition sign is almost stop signs. So that would break it up, that would break it up, and that would break it up. So then when I go to circle the terms, your brain should say, okay, I have 4f, and then minus 3, and then plus x, and plus f. So there's 4 terms there. Now, looking at the next one, what would the term, how many terms do you see in 5a plus b? Think about order of operations. So order of operations says that first you have to do grouping symbols. And if you look, we actually have a set of grouping symbols here, which are parentheses. So our grouping symbols actually takes this as a product of two items. So if you can look at it that way, this is actually, it's not an addition or a subtraction. It's a product. So I have 5 times A plus B. So because that plus is in the parentheses, that's one unit. So I'm taking 5 times that. So in essence, there is only one term, and that's the whole thing. So be careful with the parentheses. They kind of trump everything.